We get back to the breaking news. New video showing flames shooting through the roof of the Pedalines of Greater Orlando last night. Now, firefighters were first called to the scene about 10:30 last night.
So in the evening of the 15th of September, I was out. I'm on a bowling league, so I was bowling. I left my phone at home to charge. I got home about 10:45, and my phone was just blowing up. And I looked at it, and I saw a text that said, Pedaline's on fire. Immediately got in the car, drove to the fire, and in my head I was like, okay, it's a fire. I'm sure that by the time I get there, they'll be put out. As we're coming down John Young, you can see the smoke billowing, into the sky. And at that moment, you knew it was bad. Turned the corner on John Young, got to the facility, everything was cordoned off, and you could just see fire just shooting through the roof of the clinic. I started to run, and then I was quickly escorted by a couple of law enforcement officers, because it's probably not the best decision for some guy just to randomly start running across a parking lot. But when I told them who I was, they took me back there. And at that point, you could just see the fire was over the clinic, over the adoption room. I knew it had to be then over the cat room. Law enforcement officers were bringing out dogs, and even some of our staff had gone in early on and were able to rescue some of the cats in the back until the fire became so much that it was like the law enforcement officers had to stop going in, and then it was just fire rescue. Most of that night is kind of a haze of memory. There were lots of dogs and cats. We were fortunate to be able to take them next door. Our veterinarian, Dr. Keenan, had come in and she was triaging the animals. We sent Reiki, one of the cats, needed to go to emergency care because of the smoke, doing quite well, and was actually adopted shortly after that. But that evening, it was just a lot. I'd never seen so many fire trucks in all my life, and the volume of people that were required to be on hand to put out the fire was, it was really just a very surreal time. So we are forever grateful for the early call. Orange County Animal Services alerted the fire department that there was a fire. Orange County Fire Rescue was on hand pulling out dogs and cats. Orange County Sheriff's Office, came in. I talked to one of the officers, and she said that her worst fear was running into a building, and that she didn't think she could do it. But when she got there, she just ran in the building. And it was really important for her. She was so focused on saving that dog that she'd never met. And hearing her story, because we were all there watching it, you're watching people go into the building. You're not allowed to go in. You know exactly where these dogs are. They don't, so you're telling people where to go. And just the efficiency of what they did in the unknown, and that in that moment, that fear that was present in her and them prior to stepping foot onto the property, and then it just dissipated. They went in, they got through it, and then they thought about their fear afterwards. But at the time, they're holding dogs or walking dogs out, and just to know that people care that much about our dogs and cats as we do really meant a lot. So, after the fire, lots of emotions, things, going through everybody. We did have one of the firefighters that rescued one of the cats came and adopted that cat, and one of the firefighters that rescued one of the dogs came and adopted that dog. So, we had lots of feel-good stories. Those were just two of the, the stories from that evening and the ensuing days. We know that Orlando, is a great dog and cat community. We knew that prior to the 15th of September. What we didn't know was the magnitude of that support and the people that genuinely cared about our dogs, our cats, our staff, our volunteers, and the work we do. And that just became abundantly clear. Within days, we had so much food that we had to ask people to stop. We're like, we now have 3 warehouses full of food. Like, we have to stop. We don't, we can't take any more. And so we quickly started working with some of our rescue partners and other partners and providing food to them as well. But the support that people provided was such that it genuinely lifted the spirits of our staff and our volunteers. There's just no other way to explain it, that people cared that much about what happened to us. And while we initially thought it was just us, it happened to an entire community. And we're eternally grateful for all of the support that people have given so far. So, we're probably 6 weeks out of the event now, and we've had some progress. We're overwhelmed the first couple of weeks with like food donations and some physical financial donations as well. So there were moments, it's kind of like a roller coaster. You're kind of going along, you're doing your work, and then, something catches you, and, you understand the magnitude of the loss that you experienced. And then other days, you're like, hey, this happened, and, or a cat that had been with us for 4 months got adopted, and we're like, yay, Mittens got adopted. And then 20 minutes later, somebody asks you something, and for some reason it triggers a memory. So it's kind of been like that. But we've secured temporary office space downtown. Behind me is hopefully the temporary space that our cat facility will be in, and we're hoping should be open before the end of the year. And being able to take in cats, continuing doing some of our trap, neuter, return work, and then being an adoption facility as well for cats, and then on weekends we'll have some dogs here. So this is a temporary facility, but it's like temporary permanent, because it's a good 2 years before we'll be able to open our new facility out on John Young Parkway, and that's going to allow us to continue doing the work that we've been doing in this community since 1937. So obviously the donations that we received tonight impact not only the ability for us to serve dogs and cats, in our temporary facility for the next couple of years, but it is going to position us to build that state-of-the-art facility that will last in this community for decades. So everything you give tonight will be going to those 2 primary services.